A common refrain I hear from people who are black-pilled or just that are beginning to see what the world is really like is, but what can I do? They feel like as a solitary voice that the risks, and there are tons of risks when it comes to speaking your mind in today's world, very real risks that are increasing daily. They feel like these risks outweigh the benefits. They feel as if by speaking up, all they're going to do is invite personal attacks or in some cases even personal ruin. And for these people, it seems easier to just go with the flow and wait for either a savior to come and save them or a cataclysmic event to make it all come crashing down. And then when that happens, they can finally feel safe in speaking out, even though at that point, it really won't do any good. Now, first I want to say, I understand these people. And I'm not here to berate them or tell them that their fears are unwarranted. They're not. But what I will say is they're underestimating the power of what one voice can have. I mean, for example, I'm just one voice, but that's not even really the point. The point is that you're not the only one that just wants to go with the flow. You might not know it, but you're likely acquainted, maybe even closely, or maybe even surrounded by people who feel the exact same way, but they're feeling the same exact pressures you do to publicly conform to the norm. And if you spoke out, that's all it would take for them to realize that they weren't as outnumbered as they thought they were, and it would give them the courage to speak out as well. And this isn't just me trying to give you a pep talk, this is established science. In the 1950s, Solomon Asch conducted conformity experiments at Swarthmore College in Pennsylvania. In the experiments, he would present a room full of test subjects with a card that had one line on the left and then 3 lines on the right. The line on the left would match the length of one of the lines on the right, on each card.
As you can see here, I have a number of cards, and on each card there are several lines. Your task is a very simple one. You're to look at the line on the left and determine which of the 3 lines on the right is equal to it in length.
He would tell his test subjects that the experiment was to determine how well people could judge the lengths of the lines. What he didn't tell them was that only one of the people in the room were actually test subjects. The others were all in on the experiment. They were actors. The experiment had nothing to do with the perception of the lines, at least not in the way that the real test subject thought. Asch's real experiment was to see if he could get the real test subject to choose the wrong line by having all the fake test subjects, the actors, incorrectly choose first. He wanted to see if people would go against the evidence that was literally right in front of them in order to agree with the rest of the group. And the results were actually pretty scary.
2. 2. 2. 2.
The subject denies the evidence of his own eyes and yields to group influence. Asch found subjects went along with the group on 37% of the critical trials.
When the experiment was concluded, Asch interviewed the participants and found that they incorrectly chose for different reasons. Some he categorized as experiencing a distortion of perception or a distortion of judgment. This meant their ability to even perceive the length of the lines was affected simply because the input they were receiving from the people around them, the social input, was overriding their eyes. Now think of it as a type of hypnosis or suggestion. They actually perceived the incorrect answer as the correct answer because the social pressure was more powerful than their ability to perceive reality. Or they doubted their perception, even though they knew it was wrong. They figured they had to be perceiving things incorrectly, so they outsourced the decision-making to the people around them. Think of how many people that applies to today. The media bombards the public with fictional social norms that in no way reflect reality, until the majority of the public loses the ability to perceive reality. A good example is how Americans grossly overestimate the number of gay people in America. Gallup did a study in 2011 that showed exactly this. Americans polled estimated on average that 23% of the American population was gay, when the real number was 3.8%. That's a huge difference, and can easily be explained by this distortion of perception and judgment.
There are 4 of them and 1 of me. 1.
This subject's yielding is based on a distortion of his judgment. He genuinely believes that the group is correct.
Another category that conformed to the group was a category that knowingly chose incorrectly. They knew their answer was wrong, but they still picked the wrong answer. This he called distortion of action.
2. 2.
I know they're wrong, but why should I make waves?
2.
In this case, the subject knows he is right, but goes along to avoid the discomfort of disagreeing with the group. Here, the distortion is at the level of his response.
2. 2. 2.
They were giving the wrong answers because they just wanted to get along with the group. So as frightening as all of this is, why do I bring this up? Doesn't this just reinforce the idea that some people are just going to go along with the group anyway and speaking up doesn't matter? No. Because Ash performed a variation of the same experiment. In this variation, the fake participants would still choose an incorrect answer, but one of the fake participants would choose correctly.
1. 1. 2. 1. 2.
With a partner, yielding drops to only 5% of the critical trials, compared to 37% without a partner.
This tiny change made a huge difference in the results. Just by adding one other person who gave the correct answer, the number of people who would conform to the group went all the way down to 5%. Not only that, but in this variation, the real test subject experienced positive feelings towards the fake participant that was giving the correct answers. That is the power that one voice has. By speaking truth in a room full of liars, you can drop the conformity rate all the way down to 5%. While at the same time, you're creating a bond with these people you're setting an example for. And it's important to keep speaking the truth because Ash found that these voices were so vital to breaking the conformity that if he removed that participant that was giving the correct answers halfway through the experiment, the test subjects would go right back to conforming at a similar rate. Now think of how that plays into why they want to censor dissident voices. They know. They have this data. They know that if they remove our voices, the public at large will go right back to conforming to the group.
2. 2.
That's why it's so important for all of us to speak out, whether it's at home, at work, with your friends. You can be that voice that gives the others the courage to stop conforming. Imagine the ripple effect it would have if everyone here watching this, everyone did exactly that. They might try, but they can't censor all of us. You can be that crack in the dam that makes it burst. So to answer your question, yes, there is something you can do. Now you know that one person can make a difference. In fact, it's vital that one person makes a difference. And it's just as vital that that person is you. For Blackpilled, I'm Devin Stack. If you like my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you share. If you'd like to support me, you can grab a copy of my book, Day of the Rope. Link is in the description. You can send crypto to the addresses below or become a patron at patreon.com/Blackpilled.